Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, I'm diving into 5 of the creepiest and most unsettling stories I found on Reddit. These are the kind of tales that will keep you up at night. So turn off the lights, get cozy, and let's get into it. Number 1. I was about 7 or 8 years old and went with my family to this man-made lake, Family Park Place in South Georgia. Basically a big dugout pond that the owner put a bunch of beach sand and palm trees around and charged admission for people to come, park their cars, grill, and swim for the day. Also had a big, unsafe as hell water side that kids got hurt on. So where my family would park was in front of this little island that was a clump of sand about 30 yards off the shoreline. I was not the best swimmer, but the depth was just above my head, so I could bob up and down and bounce out to this island. Bouncing out to that little island one day we were there, my foot came down onto what felt like a face, felt what was a nose on my toe. The thing I remember is the feeling of hair flowing between my toes, that feeling of fine hair waving in water. I freaked out and for the longest time just sat on the shore. Was a little kid and didn't think much about it. I can still remember the scared parents going around yelling this kid's name, asking if anyone had seen this little boy. They pulled his body from under the water right in front of that island. I'm 47 now and can still remember the feeling of that hair between my toes. Number 2. I would occasionally fall asleep on the sofa after my girlfriend had gone to bed, and then just end up staying there for the night. This one time I'd done that, and I kind of half woke up at some point because I could hear her creeping around doing something near the front door. With my eyes still closed, I heard her walk softly across the room close to the sofa, felt her lean over me for a few seconds, and then walk away. I vaguely remembered something about her needing to leave early for work, so I just rolled over and went back to sleep. I then became aware that there was a strong, cold breeze in the room, and realized that the front door was wide open. Thinking she'd accidentally not closed it properly, I got up to close it and glanced at the clock. It was 3 a.m. That absolutely wasn't my girlfriend that had been walking around. I had left the front door unlocked. Someone had entered my house, checked through some bags and coats that were hanging up, walked over to where I was sleeping, stopped to look at me for a few seconds, before thankfully creeping back out after finding me lying there on the sofa. It felt so creepy to know that some weirdo had been stood there staring at me, inches away, while I just lay there half asleep. I dread to think what would have happened if I'd opened my eyes. Never left the door unlocked again. Number 3. There was a nature path cutting through woods and marsh near my city. One summer day I went for a walk, completely alone. About 10 minutes in, I spotted what I thought was a jacket hanging on a tree, hard to see through the brush. Then it moved. It was a man. Big, heavy jacket, balaclava. I froze, trying to process it. Then he started walking toward me. A feeling of instant dread came over me. No hesitation. I ran straight into the woods, branches tearing at me, until I hit a fence. On the other side, baseball field. I jumped it and didn't look back. I warned people, told an employee, never heard anything after. But I remember that feeling. Every instinct screaming, "Run now." And the worst part? I'm not a small guy. He would have towered over me. Number 4. When I was around 11, I was at softball practice, and for whatever reason, the practice ended early, so I had to wait at the park for my grandpa to come and pick me up. I ended up having to wait alone for about 30 minutes because I didn't have a cell phone to call and tell my grandpa that practice ended early. I remember sitting on the swings when an adult man, in his 30s or 40s, came and sat down next to me. He asked if he knew me, and I said no, and he told me that I must just have one of those pretty faces that feel recognizable to anybody. I remember feeling happy about the compliment, and I kept talking to him. Eventually, he told me that he had his car with him and that he could drive me home to my grandparents' house so that they didn't have to worry about picking me up, and I wouldn't have to wait any longer. Being 11, I didn't think anything of this and proceeded to get into this stranger's car. Luckily, my grandpa showed up just in time, and I remember seeing his car and jumping out to meet him. The stranger sped off without talking to my grandpa, and that was the last I ever heard about it. This is such a vivid memory for me, and I often find myself thinking about what would have happened to me and what a different person I would be today if my grandpa hadn't shown up when he did. Number 5. I was around 11 or 12. We had a telephone pole in our backyard, right up against the fence, and an electrician needed access to it for a couple days. One night, my best friend was sleeping over. We had built a little fort in my room out of sheets and blankets. I was facing her with my back to the bedroom door. Out of nowhere, she froze, then let out this quick, half-suppressed scream. Not loud, just enough to make my stomach drop. She said for a split second she saw a man's face, peering through the opening of the fort between the sheets. We both just sat there, terrified, trying to convince ourselves it wasn't real. Eventually, we fell asleep, but neither of us really relaxed that night. The next day, my family realized 2 of our motor scooters from the backyard were gone. And not long after that, my dad saw the electrician on Sacramento's top 10 most wanted. I'm almost certain that was the night he came into the house, and he knew we were just feet away the whole time. Thanks for joining me tonight and listening to these 5 chilling Reddit stories. I'll be posting as often as I can, but I promise you every Friday without fail. If you have any stories you want to share, or if you've experienced something like this, drop a comment below. Stay safe, and I'll see you next Friday.